When I was a kid, my favorite band was the Beatles. I listened to their records pretty much nonstop throughout junior high school and high school. I especially loved their later records like the White Album and Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. But the one for me, really, the album that I just wore out was Abbey Road. As I said, I was listening to this music in junior high school and early days of high school. That's when I had just gotten into the guitar. I got a guitar and I was getting more and more serious about it. And Abbey Road is just chock full of amazing guitar stuff to listen to try to figure out, to play along with. Here Comes the Sun comes from that record. Oh Darling, Octopus's Garden, I Want You, She's So Heavy. I don't know. You may know these songs or not. I hope that if you don't know them, you'll go and listen. But just so many great guitar tones and great guitar parts and fills and solos, and it's just really golden. Towards the end of that record, there's a song. It's actually, the song itself is called "The End," and it features something that the Beatles had never done before on any of their other recordings. Usually, if there's a guitar solo on a Beatles song, it's just one of the guys. Either George Harrison takes the solo or John Lennon. Paul McCartney played a few guitar solos on some of the Beatles songs. But on this song, "The End," they trade riffs. Like it, I imagine that they were sitting in a circle, in as much as three people can be a circle. But anyway, geometry aside, they just take turns and each of them just plays a couple bars. They're jamming over a simple progression. I think it's A7 and D7. And what's so fascinating, what I found fascinating when I was a kid and still do, is how different they all play. When I was that age, I wasn't sure who was who. When I listen now, it's more clear to me who's playing, because they really assert themselves. If you listen to early Beatles records, you hear more of their kind of influences. You can hear Chuck Berry and Chet Atkins and maybe Buddy Holly, in the guitar parts on the Beatles records. But by this point, Abbey Road was at the end of the Beatles' career as a band together. Those guys had all become themselves. So they didn't play like each other anymore, and they didn't play like their heroes. They just played like themselves. And that's what's so beautiful about the world of guitar, is that eventually, hopefully, each of us finds that voice and can say something on the guitar that nobody else can say in quite the same way. There's a pretty long wind-up to the video that I want to share with you, which is something that I have to say was inspired by that Beatles record that I fell in love with when I was 12 or 13. I decided to send a backing track, a jam track, to some of my favorite guitar players, who also, many of whom happen to be YouTubers, and some are, some aren't. And I wanted to see how they would all approach taking a short solo over a simple backing track. And I just wanted to see how they all played that would be personal and different. And it worked out really great. Of course, they weren't sitting around in a circle. This is the modern era. I just sent the tracks, and each of these guys sent me back their video separately. So no one got to hear what the other guys were doing. But it didn't matter, because each of these guitar players has a strong voice on their own. And anyway, I don't want to say too much more about it. I want to just get to the video. Before I do, I'll say the thing that I say all the time, which is, if you like this channel and you want to see more stuff like this, or if you just simply want to be supportive and cool, make sure to like, subscribe, maybe pick up a Guitar Tips t-shirt. maybe jump over to my Patreon page and you can become a subscribed patron there. Any of that stuff is really helpful. Thank you for supporting in any way that you do. Now, without further ado, let me introduce to you Alex Farran, Joey Landreth, Tim Lerch, Jack Ruch, Jeff McErlain, John Cordy, Rich Hinman, and then there's a guy that looks a lot like me. So I hope you'll have fun watching this. It's fun for me to watch it.